Meghan back on our screens after reuniting with the royals, and Prince George, the teenage prince, on the cusp of making history.
Hello and welcome to Royal Briefing. I'm Natalie Oliveri, royal reporter for nine.com.au.
And I'm Nicole Douglas, entertainment editor at nine.com.au. And we are back. It feels like it's been a while.
Look, well, it has been a while since we're here. The royals, they haven't been quiet, but they sort of have been quiet, but a lot has been happening, though, behind the scenes, especially when it comes to your favourite royal, Nicole.
Meghan.
What a time to be back.
What a time to be back. I mean, we did lose the World Cup, so whatever I said about that was wrong.
It's funny you mentioned the World Cup, though, because all I remember of the World Cup were just the various royals that were making appearances in the stands, like the Spanish king and queen. Well, I mean, they had good reason to because Spain
absolutely
won. But of course, Norway, the Norwegian princess. You know, it was a good royal spotting occasion for me. The Dutch royals were out and about. But Meghan and Harry, there weren't any appearances by the British royals, which they've sort of been criticised for. But to make up for it, Meghan's been out and about.
She's out and about. I first want to discuss, obviously, her reality TV stint, because she's been on MasterChef. We finally got to see the episode. Was it everything you expected? Because obviously she filmed it when she was down here in Australia. We all knew it was happening, but this is the first time we've seen it.
Yeah, so she and Harry were in Australia in April. So it's taken a few months for this episode to air. MasterChef Australia. Meghan was there as a guest judge. Now, I guess I was a little disappointed because I had high hopes for this episode. I was expecting it to be the big launch of her as ever brand in Australia. This would be sort of the start of, you know, all her jams and her honey and her flour sprinkles being made available to local customers, because at the moment only US-based customers can get them. But really, in the end, it was just her being a guest judge. It was a bit of a letdown because I was expecting her to really fluke her own wares.
If she would have done that, you would have been like, oh, it was just a massive advert for Meghan's brand.
That's right.
Absolute, like, no.
I thought there was going to be like, you know, a challenge where she was going to, you know, get all the contestants to make something with flour sprinkles or you know, something like that. But I guess the thing that made me gag, Nicole.
I knew you'd gag about this.
I did. I was like,
as soon as I saw it air, I was like, Nat's going to despise this. I can't take it.
The Duchess of Sussex. The Duchess. Oh, the Duchess this, the Duchess that. It was all about Meghan being the Duchess. And, you know, she did say, please call me Meghan. But really, everyone was referring to her as the Duchess throughout. And it was just, you know... We got to about 10 minutes left in the episode and I was thinking, oh, good, I can't wait to go to bed. And then Prince Harry FaceTimes.
Well, of course you had to FaceTime. It's the main event. It was very embarrassing. It was a little bit cringy even for me. I was like, oh.
It was hugely cringy.
But I loved it. If he hadn't, we'd have been fuming.
Well, if he hadn't, it would have been just about Meghan and it would have been a bit dull, I think. But I guess like my main criticism of her and Harry has always been that they both need to always mention their royal connections, you know, in order for someone to care about what they're doing. You know, it can't just be the Meghan show. It has to be the Meghan and Harry show. And, you know...
That's love.
Look, it is love. She kept referring to Harry as H and my husband throughout, which many people thought was just bizarre that she's been doing that for years. But I don't know, like yet again, Meghan's riding on, you know, the success of the royal family. She's riding on the connections of the royal family. It's all about the Duchess of Sussex. Just drop all the royal associations and see how you go on your own. That's what I want to know.
This is what she is doing. That's why she's on MasterChef. That's why she's doing it. She's saying, look, I can do anything now. I'm a chef. I'm good in the kitchen. I'm one of you.
If there was no mention of Duchess of Sussex or Prince Harry or the royal... I mean, there was no mention of the royal family, but if Harry wasn't involved at all, if there was no Duchess of Sussex title, I think I would have respected her a bit more. But again, it was just all Duchess of Sussex this.
I think it was a good episode. I know, I wish it was on Lego Masters instead. It's a bit of a shame that she didn't choose to go with the Channel 9 show, but there's nothing I can do about that. Maybe next time.
This could be the beginning of her reality TV reinvention, Nicole. This could be the start.
I think it could be.
Because, of course, her own lifestyle show is gone. With Love Meghan. 2 seasons.
There'll be more to come, I'm sure.
But it's been nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, I know. What does that tell you?
Well,
people
I
do love it. Nah.
Look, it's interesting because her appearance on MasterChef came just weeks after her and Harry and the children were in the UK. Of course, you know, she actually filmed it in April, as we said. But Meghan, as she loves to do, shared various family photos of her trip to the UK and Europe, including a photo of Harry and the children at Princess Diana's childhood home. They had gone to visit Diana's grave. We saw Harry carrying a bunch of big white flowers. But look, of course, Meghan's been criticised for sharing that moment. What do you think? I mean, is this just sharing family holidays, people being too critical of her as usual?
Of course it is. It's absolute garbage. You can't share anything without being slammed. I thought they were gorgeous pictures, did you?
I like some of them. The one of her in the swimsuit surprised me. It was very racy. I mean, good on her. She looks amazing.
Racy.
But I was like,
It's
wow.
1968. What is going on?
That bikini was very high cut, but like good on her. She looks amazing.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, I sort of just rolled my eyes when I saw all these family photos being shared because, again, she and Harry, one of the reasons they left the UK was to have privacy. And since they've left the royal family, she has been more visible than ever on social media and really has used the platform to promote her own interests and also share photos of her children, even though you can't see their full faces.
Yeah, of course. But she could have shared a million different photos of this trip. She didn't share. She barely shared anything.
She barely shared any, but,
Barely shared any. Just a few glimpses here and there. What the hell else is she
had
meant
to
do?
include a mention of Diana and the childhood home. I think she could have left that one out.
Why?
But I guess, like, the thing that...
Diana would have loved her.
I don't know.
I know you don't agree. But Diana would have loved her. She would never let anybody get away with treating her son like this.
Well, I think Diana wouldn't have let Harry and William get to the point they are now.
Exactly. I
hate
think
each
about that a
other.
lot. Yeah.
That's really sad. But what I do want to say about Harry and Meghan's visit to the UK when they met up with King Charles after several years with their children, Harry's big issue this time around was that Meghan and the children couldn't appear at any public events because they didn't have the amount of security that he wanted. He wanted taxpayer-funded police protection. That was denied again. And Meghan and Archie and Lilibet managed to slip into the UK. Yeah. They stayed there for several days. Not a single photo exists of Meghan and Archie and Lilibet. There's no pap photos, no social media photos from, random members of the public. So it's interesting. Harry said a couple of days before the visit that he didn't want his wife and children chased by paparazzi everywhere they went. But they clearly weren't. They sort of flew in, flew out. It was all very hush-hush. They met the king. No photos from that event, which, was to be expected. But I just think Harry's argument that they, will be pursued by paparazzi seems a little bit, yeah, but they're out of date. It's not going to happen.
Do you know what? Harry is just a guy that wants to look after his family. You can't really predict how the paparazzi are going to follow you from the moment that you land. And also, there probably is a lot of different plans, a lot of contingency plans. There's probably, a lot of parking where you could just go straight in. Nobody has to see you. Nobody needs to know. They're never going to get the shot. It's just going to be crap. So they wouldn't do it anyway. And I think they've done a really good job of avoiding the paparazzi.
It's interesting though, Harry is due back in the UK in a few weeks' time in September, early September, for the Well Child Awards. I wonder though whether Meghan and the children will be back in the UK. Probably not this time around, September. It's a little bit too soon, but hopefully some people are saying that this reunion with the King is now opening up the doors, I guess, for a wider family reunion and sort of more dialogue in the future. And I guess it's nice for royal relations.
I love it when Harry comes back and he does these weird podcast interviews where he's just loose AF.
That's all Harry seems to do now, though.
I
He's
know.
just pop up on podcasts.
Yeah.
We need to get him here.
I know.
Perhaps he could dial in.
Oh my God, I'd absolutely. Nah, Megs.
Nicole, as I mentioned earlier, the British royal family, they've sort of disappeared in a way because they're all on their summer vacation, their summer holidays. William and Kate, they often holiday in the Mediterranean. They'll all be going to Balmoral soon to join King Charles and Queen Camilla. But before all of that happens, there was a major celebration recently. Prince George.
Oh.
Beautiful Prince George, handsome Prince George. He turned 13 on July 22 and he's officially a teenager.
Isn't it wild? I feel like he's like 2 years old. I can't believe it.
I know.
He looks like a little man. Like he's so sweet.
It's just like the years pass so fast. And I remember being on Royal Watch at the Lindo Wing watching, I wasn't at the Lindo Wing, but I remember watching it and covering it for Nine. Just, it's hard to believe that was 13 years ago that we're all waiting for the doors to open to see this newborn baby. And Yeah, he's so tall now.
And the photo in that little suit, like he looks, he's so smart. It's wild to me.
Yeah, it's really sweet, and it's interesting because following tradition, William and Kate did share that portrait, the official portrait. They also put out that little family video, and that's sort of, I guess, their way of controlling access to their children, as they should. They have every right to. But I guess apart from following tradition there, they really have broken the mold in how they've been parenting their kids.
Yeah.
Of course, balancing, I guess, that fine line between royal tradition and all the protocol that comes with it, but also trying to have a normal life.
Yeah.
And I think it's, they're certainly doing things very differently from Charles and Diana's day.
Yeah.
Trying to, I guess, make or correct mistakes of the past.
Yeah.
But, the Princess of Wales, she comes from a very normal background, and I think she's really wanting to give her own children the life that she had with her two siblings. And it's nice to see. It's a bit of a refreshing change. It's much more relaxed, I guess.
Yeah. So also, we've got to remember, in early September, he's going to be starting his first days at high school. So he's going to Eton, which is where his dad and his uncle both went. And this is going to be a whole different world for him. And I do think it's definitely not going to be the way that his dad would have gone to Eton. It's going to be a completely different world, especially with social media, AI, everything in between.
It's interesting because apparently kids in the same year group as George aren't allowed to have smartphones. They can only have those old-fashioned brick phones. And that's apparently to protect them from, what is it, TikTok? And I'm an old lady. TikTok, what is it? But I think, Eton is set right near Windsor. The town of Eton is a very touristy town. The students the campus is spread throughout the town. So George could well be seen walking from class to class in his uniform, and you as a citizen journalist could be taking a photo of him and upload it to social media, and therefore I guess his location could be made public within seconds, and it could potentially lead to a major security breach. So there's all these challenges that William and Harry wouldn't have been faced with before.
So also making royal news this week, Nat, we are officially on Royal Baby Watch. We've got one on the way. A new member of the British royal family. We're going to be welcoming any day now. Princess Eugenie and her husband Jack Brooksbank will welcome their third child.
I know, it's come around so fast. It feels like just a few months ago that the royal family announced that Princess Eugenie was pregnant with her third baby. And, the royals never announced the due date or the month, but they said in the British summer. And that's happening right now. It is very hot over there.
Right. It's hard to believe when it's so freezing over here, but yes.
Yeah. But apparently the baby's on the way. And, the baby could have already been born, Nicole. We do not know. But it's interesting because this baby will be the third for Eugenie and her husband. And it's going to be the 15th in line to the British throne. So very little chance of it getting to the top job.
Yep. You never know.
But also the fifth grandchild for Sarah and her ex-husband, the former Prince Andrew. So, look, it's been a tough few months. It's been a tough year for the York family. And I guess, a baby is always going to be a wonderful thing. So some good news for the Yorks as a whole and a welcome distraction, I think. And but it's interesting, Eugenie and her sister Princess Beatrice, they really have kept such a low profile.
I know, we haven't heard a peep.
It's been very quiet. So maybe when the baby comes, I would assume we'd be getting a photo and a name.
Yeah.
But maybe that'll be it for a while, though.
Any name predictions from you?
Ooh, I haven't even thought about that. I mean, there are other children, August and Ernest.
Maybe.
So potentially a third boy. Sunday.
Mark my words. And finally, Nat, you were telling me about a really interesting story involving the Japanese royals, which I know we don't hear a lot about, but this one is particularly interesting. Can you talk us through?
Yeah, it's interesting because the Japanese royal family, I guess they are one of the closest royal families to Australia in terms of distance, but we don't see a lot of them. They're very, very mysterious. They also don't do a lot on social media compared to the British royals, the other European royal families. But they have made changes to their succession laws because basically the family is facing extinction. Wow. Currently, only males can ascend to the top job as emperor, and there's only 3 eligible males left at the moment. And the current emperor and his wife, they have a daughter. And because she's female, she's not eligible for the role of emperor. And it's interesting. So the Parliament's passed a few laws to sort of change things here and there. One of the changes is that distant male relatives who used to be part of the royal family before the Second World War, well, they are now going to be invited back in the hopes that sort of a male baby will one day become emperor. The other change is that female royals, if they decide to marry a commoner, they will keep their royal status. Now, in the past, princesses who decide to marry commoners have had to give up all their royal status, all their royal money, and their royal titles. There was one a couple of years ago that we all were obsessed with. She ended up moving to New York. The major change that hasn't happened is allowing a female to become emperor. And there are opinion polls basically saying that, yeah, we think this is a great idea. This current princess, Princess Aiko, is great for the role of emperor, but because she's a female, it just won't happen.
Would she want the role? Does she?
I don't know. The Japanese royals are very quiet, I guess. You don't really see them speaking out in public a lot. And a lot of the former members of the imperial family really haven't commented publicly on this particular story. But I mean, do you think that a woman should become emperor? Do you I personally think that why not? Queen Elizabeth II, she was, the longest reigning.
There ever was.
Exactly.
But I think it's pretty outrageous that it's taken this long for this to even be considered.
Yeah. It's interesting because a few years ago, I actually went to the palace in Japan, the
really?
Imperial Palace, and it's very, very different from other royal residences that I've gone to in Europe. And I think it's just because they are so guarded and they're so mysterious, but they're also really, really old-fashioned. And I guess, it's taken decades for them to get to this point where they're, even considering changing the laws here, but there's such a huge step before I think they'll even consider putting a woman on the throne. But as you said, Queen Elizabeth II, greatest queen in the history of the world.
Women do it better.
Women do it better, I think. Yeah, well, Victoria before her and Queen Margrethe of Denmark. There's lots of females to lead by example.
Thank you so much for watching Royal Briefing. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube or on nine.com.au.
Bye.